It began with a letter taped to my front door. A sunny Friday afternoon, cicadas humming, fresh grass in the air. And then those bold words. Notice of violation. I tore it open, heart pounding. Your porch swing is in violation of HOA guidelines. Remove immediately or face a fine of $500. I read it twice, 3 times. My porch swing? The one my grandfather built with his own hands 40 years ago? He had sanded the planks, stained the wood, and hung it with heavy iron chains that squeaked softly when you rocked. It wasn't just a swing. It was where my parents had their first kiss, where my grandmother told me bedtime stories, where I rocked my own kids to sleep under the stars. And now the HOA wanted it gone. I crumpled the notice, fury burning through me. That's when I saw her. Linda, president of the HOA, always in pressed suits, clipboard in hand, and a permanent smirk that made you feel smaller just by standing near her. She stood across the street watching, as if waiting for my reaction. "You've been served," she said, striding over with the arrogance of someone who thought the neighborhood belonged to her. Remove it by Monday or face daily fines. Regulation 14B. No exterior fixtures. Inconsistent with neighborhood. Uniformity. I clenched my jaw. This swing has been here longer than the HOA has existed. My grandfather built it. Her lips curled. Irrelevant. Rules are rules. Rules are supposed to protect people, not erase their history. Linda tilted her head, the sun glinting off her glasses. History doesn't pay dues. And with that she turned and walked away, clipboard tucked like a sword at her side. I stood frozen. My fists shook. That night I sat on the swing alone, rocking back and forth. The chains creaked like an old memory, and tears slipped down my cheeks before I knew they were there. The swing wasn't just wood and bolts. It was my anchor, my grandfather's gift, my last tie to a man who had taught me that family came before everything. And now Linda wanted it destroyed. My phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor, David. Got a violation too. HOA says flying my American flag is excessive decoration. You too? I stared at the screen. It wasn't just me. I typed back, yeah, they want my porch swing gone. $500 fine, a pause. Then David replied, they're out of control. We need to talk. For the first time, I didn't feel so alone. The next morning, I opened my mailbox. A yellow envelope screamed, "HO fine." Inside, $500 due immediately. With $50 added each day, I resisted. Neighbors whispered as I stood there holding the notice. Some looked at me with pity, others with fear. I had become the guy with the swing, the man standing against Linda's iron fist. But even as shame pressed against me, I knew one thing. I couldn't take it down. That night I rocked again in the cool air, the chains creaking like a heartbeat. And one thought thundered inside me. If I let them take this, what will they take next? I tightened my grip on the wooden armrest. I wasn't backing down. Not this time. Saturday morning I woke to the sound of muffled voices outside. Pulling back the curtain, I saw Linda again. Clipboard tucked under her arm. Her heels clicking against the sidewalk as she marched from house to house. Behind her trailed 2 HOA board members like loyal soldiers. They stopped at the Johnsons' house, pointing at their rose bushes, then at the Miller's shutters. Each stop ended the same. Linda scribbled furiously, and another yellow envelope went into a mailbox. It wasn't just me. It was everyone. By noon, the neighborhood felt different. Instead of kids riding bikes and parents mowing lawns, there was silence. Curtains twitched. People peeked through blinds. Fear had crept in like a fog. Then came the knock. David stood at my door, jaw tight, waving his violation notice like a white flag. They want my flag gone by Monday. $250 fine. Can you believe this? I motioned him inside and we sat on the porch swing together, rocking slowly. He ran his hand across the wood and shook his head. She's trying to erase everything that makes this place ours. I nodded. It's more than the swing. It's our freedom. She wants control. David leaned closer. What if we fight back? The words hung in the air, heavier than the humid summer heat. Fight back how? I asked. He pulled out his phone, showing me a group chat forming. Neighbors Against HOA Abuse. Already 5 people had joined. The Johnsons. The Millers. Even quiet old Mrs. Green, who rarely left her porch. They're scared, David said, but they're tired too. If we don't stand together, she'll pick us off one by one. I looked down at my grandfather's swing, my knuckles brushing the worn wood. For the first time since that letter arrived, I felt something stronger than anger. resolve. That evening, the group met in my backyard. We sat in folding chairs under string lights. Voices hushed but urgent. Stories spilled out. Mrs. Green fined. $200 for feeding stray cats. The Millers threatened with foreclosure over a missed $50 payment. The Johnsons told us Linda once barged into their yard uninvited, inspecting their flower beds. It was worse than I thought. Linda wasn't protecting the neighborhood. She was bleeding it dry. By the end of the night, our whispers turned to promises. We weren't just neighbors anymore. We were allies. And though fear still lurked in our voices, something else sparked brighter. Unity. As everyone left, David clapped my shoulder. It starts with us. You keep that swing up. We'll keep fighting. I sat back down after they left, rocking slowly in the dark. The chains creaked steady and unbroken, like a heartbeat reminding me of who I was. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. But across the street, a silhouette stood in the glow of a street lamp. Linda, clipboard in hand, watching. She knew, and somehow I knew this was just the beginning. Sunday afternoon, the neighborhood felt tense, like everyone was holding their breath. Word had spread fast about our secret meeting, though we had tried to keep it quiet. By now, nearly a dozen families had joined the group chat. Every ping of a new message felt like another voice whispering, "We're not alone." But Linda struck first. By mid-morning, bright orange violation notices appeared taped to fences, doors, even mailboxes. The sight was humiliating. It wasn't just paper, it was a public shaming. David ripped his notice down so hard the tape left marks on his paint. Across the street, the Johnsons stood frozen, staring at theirs in disbelief. I knew what Linda was doing. She wanted to break our spirits before we had the chance to rise. That night, the group gathered again, this time at the Millers' garage. The air smelled of gasoline and fresh-cut wood, but the energy inside was electric. Everyone talked over each other, voices filled with anger and fear. She fined me $300 for shade cloth in my garden, Mrs. Green said, her frail hands trembling. She told my husband his truck was too old for the neighborhood, the Millers added. And now she's doubling fines if we don't pay within 2 weeks, someone else shouted. I could see the exhaustion in their eyes. Ordinary families being pushed to the edge. I stood and raised my hands for quiet. We can't let her control the story. If we stay silent, she'll crush us one by one. But if we shine a light on what she's doing, if the outside world sees this, she can't hide anymore. David leaned forward. You're saying we go public? I nodded. Pictures, videos, testimonies, we gather proof. We show the city, the state, heck, even the news. People need to know what's happening here. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then Mrs. Green whispered, "Count me in." One by one, others followed. By the end of the night, we had a plan. The fight had officially begun. But as I walked home under the streetlights, my chest tightened. War had a way of changing everything, and I couldn't shake the feeling Linda already knew we were coming for her. The next week turned our quiet neighborhood into a battlefield, only, instead of guns and smoke, the weapons were cameras, fines, and whispered threats. We started small. The Millers filmed Linda marching up to their lawn with her clipboard, measuring their fence with a ruler like a soldier checking lines. David snapped photos of the violation notices, each stamped with ridiculous charges: grass too tall, non-regulation curtains, even unapproved bird feeder. It would have been laughable if the numbers at the bottom didn't climb into the hundreds. We gathered everything in a shared folder online, and the evidence piled up faster than I expected. Each new video or photo felt like proof we weren't crazy. Proof the monster wasn't just in our imaginations. But Linda noticed. One evening I saw her SUV crawling down the street, headlights cutting across porches. Her window rolled down as if she were hunting for signs of rebellion. My stomach tightened when she stopped in front of my house. She didn't get out. She just sat there, engine humming, watching. Finally, she drove away, but I knew it was a warning. The next morning, fresh violation slips appeared on nearly every door in our group. They weren't about lawns or paint colors this time. They were personal. One accused the Johnsons of harassment for standing on their porch too long. Another claimed Mrs. Green had unauthorized visitors. Mine said I had created a hostile atmosphere in the community. The irony made my blood boil. At our next meeting, the mood was heavier. Some neighbors worried we were pushing too hard. What if she sues us? One man asked, what if she takes our homes? I understood their fear. Linda thrived on it. But then Mrs. Green, the quietest of us all, stood up. Her voice cracked, but her words cut through the room. If we back down now, she wins forever. I've lived here 20 years. I won't be bullied out of my own home. Silence fell. Then David nodded. She's right. We keep going. We don't stop. The room shifted that night. Fear was still there, but so was something stronger. Resolve. Linda thought she had silenced us with paper and threats. Instead, she had given us the spark we needed to fight harder. And deep down, I knew the storm was only beginning. The day of the homeowners' meeting felt like the final showdown. For weeks we had gathered proof, whispered strategies, and fought back in small ways. But now it was all out in the open. Every chair in the clubhouse was filled, neighbors shifting nervously, Linda standing at the front with her usual smug smile, gavel in hand like a queen on her throne. She started with her usual theatrics. Violations have skyrocketed. This neighborhood is falling apart under constant disobedience, she declared, waving a stack of fines as if they were sacred scrolls. Some nodded, but most stayed quiet. Then David stood up. Actually, Linda, it's not the neighborhood that's falling apart. It's your leadership. He clicked a remote, and the projector lit up with photos and videos. Linda threatening families, issuing false fines, prowling the streets at night. Gasps filled the room. Linda's smile vanished. She tried to cut him off, banging the gavel, but the voices of the community rose together. Mrs. Green spoke about her harassment. The Millers showed the fines for their fence. One by one, neighbors stood up, no longer afraid. For the first time, Linda looked small, cornered. Her power wasn't real anymore. It was smoke, and we had blown it away. The meeting ended not with her victory, but with a motion to remove her as HOA president. The vote was swift, overwhelming, final. As we walked out into the night air, relief washed over me. The fear was gone. We weren't just homeowners anymore. We were neighbors, united. And Linda, she was just a name on a clipboard, forgotten in the shadows of her own downfall. If this story gripped you, hit like and subscribe. More HOA justice stories are coming your way.